Good evening, everybody. It's Bobby Harvey once again live in downtown Ottumwa, Iowa for another Amtrak station stop here in Ottumwa, the evening of June 15th, 2025. It has turned out to be a wonderful evening. It's been kind of cloudy all day, and it's just now turned sunny. Sun's finally come out for the end of the day as we're awaiting Amtrak here in Ottumwa, California Zephyr. Last I knew, they were a few minutes late in Mount Pleasant, about 5 or 6 minutes late, I think. The estimated departure time from here in Ottumwa is only a few minutes late at about 7 o'clock. So they might make up that time before they actually get here. And right before I started the stream, a westbound empty coal train went through. Got a few snips of video with my phone before I started the stream. And the dispatcher just said that the train that just went through is going to hold up at Halpin for Amtrak. They're going to run around them. And as far as that goes, it's the only other train in the area so far, except I believe there is a northbound movement on the CPKC that's coming out of the yard. Might have to listen and see if that train is actually on its way. We might be able to see a little clip of it. The lighting's not very favorable that way right now, but an Amtrak is on its way, so we'll see about that. But the main focus for this video, of course, is Amtrak. So we're going to make sure to get that train as best we can. Now you might notice that I am standing just a little further down the platform than I normally am. I'm usually about probably another car length up the tracks closer to the station, and today I'm further back. Well, was there any reason for that? Well, actually there is, because this train tonight is going to be a little longer than normal. Last time I did a stream last week, I observed that there was a additional coach car on the train, making the Zephyr consist back to its normal length that it has been in years past prior to COVID. The usual consist of a baggage car, transition sleeper, 2 sleepers, a dining car, sightseer lounge, and 3 coaches. The third coach has been absent from the Zephyr for quite a while. A few exceptions of, when they could find a car to put on the train. Well, Amtrak is finally, I believe, they're finally starting to get caught up on all the sideline cars at Beech Grove. They're getting them overhauled and getting them sent back out. And that allows Amtrak to put more cars on the trains again. So last week, that third coach was back on the train. Today, there's also an additional sleeping car on the train. So there's actually 4 sleepers. Okay, we're gonna pan over real quick before Amtrak gets here. I don't know if we'll be able to see this CPKC train or not from where I'm standing. We might not be able to. We're gonna zoom in and find out. Yeah, you're not gonna be able to see much of it, but might give us something to do while we wait for Amtrak.
Look all good, complete on that robot. Got a marker on the rear.
Yeah, you can kind of see it going through down there. Looks like it appears to be, if you can see it, you might not be able to from here. You can kind of see it just right in between the whistle post that's faced eastbound traffic there and that warning sign. You can kind of see the train going through there. That is a northbound CPKC train. I believe that's train 181, the northbound hotshot intermodal train that runs on CPKC from Mexico up to the Chicago area. You can just barely see it down there, crossing. Nice of BNSF to let them go through before Amtrak. So we're looking west right now. This is, we're on the station platform, and that's the Gateway Drive crossing. And you can see the crossing signals further down for the McLean Street crossing, and there's one more grade crossing after that before the CPKC tracks. You can see the McLean Street crossing signals down there, you can see the cars of that train going through on the CPKC right behind it. A lot of you guys are joining in now, so we'll get to you guys' comments here momentarily. So not only is there an additional sleeping car on the train, bringing the consist on Amtrak tonight to 4 sleeping cars, which is pretty amazing. That doesn't really happen very much. A transition sleeper and 3 regular sleepers, along with the return of the 3rd coach on the end of the train. And there's also 2 more cars on the end of the train tonight, 2 private cars operated by the Patrick Henry charters. I've seen those cars before. Might have actually seen them here on the live stream before, but it's been a few months or so. So we've got quite a bit of extra cars on the train tonight. So they will definitely spot the train in a little different spot than normal. The engines will probably be up here, which is why I've decided to stand further down the platform, just so I'm out of the, passengers and the crew way when they're doing their station work. Mark just hit the super chat for $9.99. Thank you very much, Mark. Really appreciate that. Glad you could tune in. Thank you very much. So Amtrak will be arriving shortly. We've got the camera pointed down to the CPKC. We've got train 181 going through now. You can just barely see it. Might have already cleared already. Yes, it has. It just cleared. So we're going to go ahead and pan back around to the station. It is nice out here. It hasn't been this nice all day. Of course, it's been very warm. There's the water plant. Come back around, and there's the station. Level out the camera again here as we get ready for our train, which should be coming in fairly soon. Mark's last comment was at 6:46, so the train is probably getting close. Now, like I said at the beginning of the program, they departed Mount Pleasant a few minutes behind schedule, so it might be a little later when they roll in here than normal. But I suspect that they're probably going to have close to, or maybe exactly, an on-time departure tonight. As you can see down there at the station, the crew starting to come out of the station. So that is usually a pretty good indicator that the train is getting close. Now, maybe I can get you guys filled in on some of the railroad news around here before the train rolls in. Speaking of hours, I kind of misspoke there and said that the train was a few hours late instead of minutes. Well, a couple days ago, the California Zephyr was extremely late coming through Ottumwa. They were over 5 hours late. Because in the Chicago area, I'm sure a lot of you have probably already heard about this little incident, but at LaGrange Road, which is just outside of Chicago on the suburban Metra BNSF line, a freight train hit a truck, a tractor trailer, at the LaGrange Road station, one of the grade crossings on the east side of the station. And luckily, the train was going slow. The train was able to stop pretty much after the engines cleared the crossing, but the truck trailer got dragged from the crossing through the station platform, and it actually damaged part of the shelter on the north end, the north side of the tracks. And the truck trailer, of course, after being hit by this train, fouled all 3 tracks on the BNSF former CB&Q racetrack main line west of Chicago. And so, as you can expect, all the commuter trains and all of the Amtrak trains in the area were incredibly delayed. And by the time the Zephyr left Chicago, of course, they held it. Thankfully, the train hadn't left Chicago yet, so they held it in the station until a track got opened up and they were able to go through. The train was over 5 hours late, 4.5, 5 hours late when they finally left Chicago. And last I checked, I think that train is still on its way towards Emeryville right now in California. It's very late. So that was the excitement that happened a couple of days ago on the railroad. The eastbound Zephyr was held at Naperville, either the Zephyr or the Chief, I don't know what happened with all the commuter trains. It was probably a mess. Now, the cool thing, I mean, I guess it's cool, but you actually got to see how this happened because a rail fan was actually on the platform at LaGrange Road filming trains when this happened, and he got it all on video. And it's on YouTube. Just search for BNSF truck hits semi in Chicago, something like that. It'll pop up. It's a really good video, just pretty much showing what happened. And it's a very slow speed crash, but it's still amazing at how much damage it did to this truck trailer. Of course, the train probably was only barely scratched, but it's a good thing that train was going slow, because I actually was in Chicago last year with my wife, and I was actually out there at LaGrange Road getting footage for my upcoming California Zephyr documentary. I was on the platform, pretty much on the same side that this rail fan was when he got this accident footage. And we actually ate at the Noodles and Company that's right across the tracks from the crossing where this happened. And while we were eating, I got some video of the trains going by, and including BNSF freights, and they are usually booking it through there at a pretty decent speed. So it's a good thing the train was going very slow when this accident occurred. It could have been a lot worse. And as far as I know, there were, no injuries, nobody was hurt or anything like that. So, I mean, it's just, just property damage and a lot of headaches in the Chicago area a couple of days ago. Friday afternoon before the evening rush on Friday. So yeah, if you guys haven't seen that video yet, look it up. It's pretty amazing. And the truck driver, I don't know what the trucker was doing. I mean, the gates were already coming down, I'm pretty sure, when he started to cross the tracks. And he just kept going, and it's like, if you see that if you're on the tracks and you see that a train's coming, you need to try and get across. But I think the problem was there's a road intersection right on the other side of the tracks, and he probably wasn't clear to get out into the intersection before the train showed up. So, a good rule of thumb, and of course I've never driven a semi, but they go to training for all this stuff, to get their licenses. Even in a regular, automobile, if you're coming up on a crossing and there's cars in front of you, or there's an intersection, do not go across those tracks until you have a clear path. For a semi, you need to make sure you've got a clear path for your whole tractor and trailer to clear before going across, so things like that don't happen. But yeah, that was the excitement in the railroad world a couple of days ago, and it affected the trains that came through here. But tonight, everything seems to be running much smoother. And it's a nice evening. I'm going to go ahead and go on back through the comments. CAB DeBoth, hello. Grandpa Leroy's here, Mark's here. Southeastern New Mexico Rail Fan is here, welcome. James is here in Hamilton, Ohio. Dakota's here. And Italian Paulie is here. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the stream. And here we go. Amtrak is pulling into the station now. The California Zephyr, westbound train number 5. Extra cars, including a pair of private cars on the end of the train tonight. We'll see where they spot the train with all those extra cars on the end. Well, right about where I thought. Cool. There's our trailing locomotive here, P42 number 11. Definitely seen better days, but still going strong. Our leader, P42 number 190. Feel like we may have seen it before. I'll have to look it up. Change of crews, changing the engineers and conductors. Of course, these are the engineers. Lots of people milling about on the platform today. Good night for a train ride. All right, I think we're breaking viewership records here. 55 people watching right now. Thanks, guys, for watching. All aboard, folks. That's the warning whistle. Everybody that's been on the platform with their smoke breaks and stretching their legs, it's time to get back on. We're ready to go. Okay, as our train pulls out of the station, there's the locomotives. There's our Viewliner 2 baggage car. And here come the sleepers. Quite a bit of them tonight. There's our transition sleeper. And then 3 more sleepers. Followed by our dining car, lounge car, 3 coaches, and on the back of the train are 2 private cars. Patrick Henry, Evelyn A. Henry, and Warren R. Henry, dome car. That is great. Off they go. 7:06, so a little late, but not bad. About 9 minutes late. I could easily make that up along the way. Definitely much better than their timekeeping on Friday, that's for sure. And that's a pretty good tail end right there. Kind of like how the California Zephyr used to look years ago when the Burlington was still running it. The last car on the train would always be a dome observation car with a rounded end. Some of those cars still exist on tourist railroads and museums, and only a select few are still operating as private cars on Amtrak today. What the heck? What is going on here? Some people are having fun with their horns on cars. That one high-pitched kind of train-sounding horn was on a truck that just went by on Main Street to our right. Okay, well, that was a pretty good station stop for tonight. A lot of interesting stuff, extra cars, 2 private cars. Pretty cool. So, per usual, we're going to go ahead and keep things rolling for a little bit to make sure there aren't any more trains. We've got 51 of you guys watching right now. That's incredible. I think it actually got up to 60 at one point. That's probably the most viewership I've had on a single live stream while it's streaming live ever. Pretty cool. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in and watching. Kind of wonder if the private cars had something to do with that. That's okay. It's always nice to be able to come out here and just happen to see some cool stuff. So that's the CPKC dispatcher that we hear right now. Talking about a southbound. I don't know if it's coming down the line towards the diamond down there or if they're already in the yard heading south from there. We'll have to see. Now, something I forgot to tell you guys, on the coal train that went through before I started the stream, the trailing locomotive had something interesting on it. It was a normal BNSF engine, but it was something that I hadn't seen on a BNSF freight locomotive so far. The headlights were on dim per the regulations when a trailing locomotive is at the end of a train. Instead of a flashing EOT on the end, they're allowed to dim the rear headlight and have it lit. Well, this locomotive had LED headlights, and I've never seen that on a freight locomotive before. So I suppose they're eventually all going to have LED headlights on them. But they were a warm white, kind of like the way the incandescent headlights on most trains look now. Instead of the cool white, which you'll see on the new, like the Charger locomotives on Amtrak and commuter railroads, and on the SD70 Mox on Metra, I think they have LED headlights, or at least an LED simulated strobe light. So we're going to look at the signals. We're going to make sure that there isn't anything else lying through either direction. Kind of chat with you guys a little more.
9-38, box 2, Alvin to 38, 18, main 1, no NE.
Yeah, that's Amtrak repeating their warrant. Or just at least letting each other know what track they're on. My guess is they're probably going to be crossing over to Main 2 at that new crossover west of town to overtake that coal train, and then probably cross back over to Main 1 later on. All right, we'll go ahead and pan the camera back over towards the station as we await potentially other trains. I don't know if there's any more out or not, but I'll wait for them. It's a nice night. The water plant there across the tracks. So I still do not see any sign of them starting work on removing this middle platform. Now, originally, when they did the platform overhaul, which took place over the past couple of years, and they finally got it done, the original plan was to overhaul both the platform we're on and the center platform. Somewhere along the line, that plan changed, and they're just going to have Amtrak use this platform and take out the middle platform. With the new crossovers that BNSF put in on the east and west side of the station, the dispatcher can always make sure that Amtrak is on this track, Main 1, to do their station work, regardless of the direction, which is kind of nice. And then, if there are any freight trains in the area, they can just go through on Main 2, and they don't have to hold any trains for Amtrak anymore, unless, like the train was eastbound, for example, and you had a westbound stopped at Iowa Avenue on Main 1. When Amtrak goes through, they'll just cross back over to Main 2, and the other freight will come through. So, like I said, we're just going to keep things rolling for probably another 10, 15 minutes or so, just to make sure there's not anything else going on in the railroad world tonight. For all of you fathers out there, happy Father's Day. Kind of a slower day on my end of the world for Father's Day. That's okay. Just been spending time at home with the family. Yesterday, we made a little trip to Des Moines for some shopping and family time. And we got home later than we thought last night, which is the main reason why I decided not to do a stream yesterday. It turns out that was a good idea because I got to see all the neat stuff on the train tonight. As I'm normally doing streams on Saturday now instead of Sunday. Either day works out pretty good, though. The only downside of doing a stream on Sunday is that tomorrow is Monday, the beginning of the work week, and, it's kind of a moment, but that's all right. As Amtrak gets farther away, I will take a look at the signals, make sure there's not anything else lined for any movements. So my theory, or my assumption that the train would pull down further was correct. Moving down here, I was able to be right next to the engines like I usually am to get the train doing their work and going on down the tracks. All right, I'm going to take a look at the signals now, see what they say, if anything. Well, the signals are dark in both directions, so that means there's not anything coming for a while.
June 15, 2025. This is KCS 4705, 4705 South MTK, address terminal.
Yeah, that CPKC dispatcher is talking right now. There is indeed a southbound train on the CPKC right now. Now, eventually, I will do another one of those kind of roving live streams where I go around and get as many trains as I can in town. This train has a KCS leader. All right, let's go back through the comments real quick.
That is all correct.
Correct. Do you need a total or anything else?
So looking back in the comments here, Italian Paulie.
262 got walked on there.
They're requesting a tour
7169 feet.
of the interior of the train. They're going to be taking the train from Cleveland to Boston.
Is it 10,000 or 2,000?
They've never taken the train before.
Yeah,
Well, that train,
That, and that
I'm trying to
260 ahead of you said at milepost 306 there
wait a
was some
sec
cows
here.
on the loose as well as some people on ATVs.
Huh.
I guess trying to corral them, so just be on the lookout around milepost 306 for any wildlife or people out there.
got cows at 306 and T1 ATVs over.
That is all correct.
All right. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, CPKC drop down.
and we'll get back to that comment in just a second, but that
Chief driver, CP9721.
apparently there are cows on the
You guys
line.
know anything about setting on a motor and a tumble?
There are apparently cows on the line on the CPKC at about milepost 306, which is just a mile north, railroad north of Bidwell, or 2 miles north, I guess.
Which motor it is and where they want it at.
That's funny. Yeah, not funny for the cows or their owners, but
Copy that. No outbound called yet. It's going to have to wait for a northbounder to get into the yard. So at least get that motor set out.
okay. So anyways, Italian Paulie was asking for an interior tour of the train. They're going from Cleveland to Boston, and they've never taken Amtrak before. Well, unfortunately, that train, I'm pretty sure that is, let's see, Cleveland, that's got to be, I'm pretty sure that's the Lakeshore Limited. And they use single-deck passenger cars. The trains out here use double-deck cars. Unfortunately, I'm personally unable to provide a tour of those cars if I were to take the train around here. There are no single-deck long-distance trains out here. They're all the double-decker Superliner trains. But if you search around on YouTube, even more of a like train-specific, like if you search a Lakeshore Limited onboard tour or something like that, there are people that do tour videos of the accommodations and the interior of the train that they're riding. I've never done one of those myself because my tour would be kind of boring because I am always riding in coach. So you'd only be able to see the interior of the coach and the lounge car, maybe the dining car, not the sleepers. If you were on sleeper, you'd be able to pretty much take a tour of the entire train. But it would still be kind of interesting for those people that would like to take the train and have never taken the train to see what it's like inside. And it is actually, it's pretty nice. The seats are very big. You have a lot more room on a train than you do in an airplane. Even on the corridor trains, the shorter distance trains, you have a lot more leg room, a lot more space on the train to stretch out. And the seating is only 2 seats on either side of the center aisle. On airplanes, it could be 3 or more, so there's a lot more room. There are some commuter trains that are arranged in a 3x1, but no Amtrak trains are arranged that way. It's all 2x2. It's all two seats wide on either side of the center aisle. You got a lot of room in the coaches. You also have the lounge car, which has a bunch of great lounge seating, big panorama windows. There's a combination of swivel seating, so you can look out and see the scenery, and also table seating. All the Sightseer lounge cars are arranged that way now. Half the car is like observation seating, and half the car is table seating. And on the lower level, there's a lounge snack bar where you can get snacks and light meals, hot dogs and hamburgers and, candy and pop and even some alcoholic beverages if you're into that sort of thing. Get all that in the cafe lounge area in the lower level. And there's even some seating down there where you can eat your food and drink your drinks. That's a car that I usually spend most of my time on Amtrak has been in the lounge car. Sometimes when I'm filming, I go back to the coaches because it tends to be quieter in the coaches, but a lot of my footage that I've gotten on Amtrak has been in the lounge. A lot of people comment on my Southwest Chief video. A lot of the onboard footage that I did from Chicago to Fort Madison, I was in the lounge car, and there's all these people. There was a group of people talking in Russian. So it was kind of interesting for some of the viewers to kind of hear that in the background, you know, people talking in a different language. But sometimes, I mean, and I don't really mind, you know, the ambient noise of, you know, people talking in the back of my videos, because a lot of times in the lounge car, there's so many people talking at once that, you know, you can't really make out any specific conversations or anything like that. So it's not a big deal. And I don't mind that in my videos, but sometimes it can get kind of loud. So I will venture back to the coaches when that happens, and it's a lot quieter back there. So sometimes you get better video back there, but you don't get the big wraparound windows. So you don't get as much area to film from. Your camera has to be a lot closer to the window. And then of course you just have to hope that the windows of your car or cars are fairly clean. Sometimes they are not. Sometimes they're dirty, sometimes they're scratched up, and you just have to do the best you can with what you have. Which is okay, that's part of the adventure. And then of course you've got your dining car on the long distance trains, which has table seating and a restaurant setting. You can order restaurant food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner served in the dining cars. But it's a little pricey for coach passengers nowadays. It's like eating in a decent restaurant. The food is usually pretty good. I'm not sure it's quite as good as what you would get in a restaurant. Amtrak used to be known for their steaks. Really good steak. I never had one, but my dad had one when we rode the train years ago as a family. He always said that they were good. Usually I have like hamburgers for lunch, and then they have like some sort of like a vegetarian pasta, things like that for dinner. Sometimes they have chicken, but it's really good. I mean, I've never had a bad meal on a dining car on Amtrak. It's good food, but it is a little pricey if you're a coach rider. Now, if you ride in the sleeper, your meals are included with your fare, which is one of the bonuses of booking sleeping car on Amtrak trains, is all your meals in the dining car are included with your fare. And that's when you take advantage of that and eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the dining car every single day you're on the train. Now, usually when I was out on my filming expeditions, on the Southwest Chief and the California Zephyr several years back, you're kind of met with a dilemma. I mean, do I keep filming or do I go to the dining car? So usually I would not eat in the dining car the entire day because I'd be busy filming out the windows on the train to make these documentaries. And then usually after the sun went down, I couldn't get any more onboard footage out the window, then I would go eat in the dining car. On the Southwest Chief, I had a dinner reservation pretty much when the sun went down in Albuquerque. So I didn't get any video of the train in the Albuquerque station, but by that time, it was already dark. So I would usually eat breakfast and dinner, or breakfast and lunch, from food in the cafe car and eat as I filmed. Or just take a very quick, 10, 15 minute, lunch break and eat my food and then get right back to filming. It is definitely an adventure to take a train across the country. Then, of course, you have the sleeping cars, which are several different types of sleeping car accommodations. I can think of 4 off the top of my head. The roomette is the smallest sleeping car accommodation, and it's basically just a bed. Or I think there's 2 beds, but it's very close quarters, but it's the most affordable. They're all pretty pricey, but the roomette is the most affordable sleeping car accommodation. The next one up is the bedroom, which has a little more room, and I'm pretty sure they have a small bathroom as well. I don't know if it's a shower and bathroom or not, or if it's just a bathroom, but room for 2, as well as a small bathroom and a little more room in the bedrooms. Then there is the family bedroom, which is on the lower level of the sleeping car, Superliner sleepers. And it is a bedroom that pretty much goes across the entire width of the car on one end. So it's a very large bedroom. It can sleep, 4 people pretty easily, I'm pretty sure. And it has a full-sized bathroom and shower in the room. That's the family bedroom. Also on the lower level, along with some roomettes and bedrooms, there is an accessible bedroom for those with accessibility concerns. And it's a very big room, has room for 2 passengers, and a very large, nice, accessible bathroom and shower.
Did you say yard cab?
And that is the main configurations of the Superliner sleeping cars. There are some other different sleeping cars, some modified sleeping cars that are only used on certain routes.
308.
That's correct, over.
There is
Is that the turn right after 305?
There is a car that's used on the auto train called the Deluxe Sleeper, which has many more bedrooms on the top than roomettes. In fact, I think the entire top floor is bedrooms and bigger accommodations. And of course, there's also on most Amtrak Superliner trains, there's the Transition Sleeper, which in years past was pretty much the crew dormitory car, where all the onboard crew, the dining car staff and the car attendants and things like that, that's where they spend the night in their own personal sleeping quarters. More recent years, there have been a few bedrooms that can be sold to regular Amtrak passengers in the transition car. There's slightly different configurations in the transition car. One of them being on the lower level, there is kind of a crew lounge area where there would be sleeping rooms on a normal sleeping car. That's pretty much the accommodations on Amtrak trains out here in the West. Out east, the accommodations are similar, but the main difference is that they are single-deck trains instead of double-deck. The only exception, the only train that's operating in the east with Superliners now is the auto train. Now, the Capital Limited was running with Superliners, but of course the Capital Limited has been at least temporarily discontinued and has been replaced with the Floridian, and the Floridian runs with single-deck cars. Years ago, the Amtrak Cardinal ran with Superliners for a short period. Didn't last very long. And sometimes some of the Midwest trains that run out of Chicago. Wow, another $9 from Mark. Thank you very much. Wow. Really appreciate that. That's incredible. Thank you. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much, Mark. Very generous. So the occasional Midwestern trains will sometimes use Superliners at for some reason. Now, some of the Illinois trains that go down to Carbondale that run on the Canadian National, they've been using Superliners for a while because for whatever reason, the single-deck cars do not properly shunt the crossing signals on that line. So they have requested that Amtrak use Superliners because they're bigger and heavier and they can properly shunt the signals. They were trying to get a fix for that, and I don't think it's happened yet, so that those trains still run with Superliners even though they don't need to. Some other trains right now, the Borealis that runs between Chicago and St. Paul, it's been running with Superliners due to the whole Horizon Fleet Amtrak fiasco.
Does the paper have your initials on it?
And sometimes in the wintertime, you'll see some of the other Midwestern trains running with Superliners, most notably the Illinois Zephyr that runs between Chicago and Quincy, Illinois, the Père Marquette, which runs from Chicago to Grand Rapids, Michigan, and a few others. But typically, you will only see Superliners on the Western long-distance trains, namely the Empire Builder, California Zephyr, which is what we saw tonight, the Southwest Chief, the Sunset Limited, and the Coast Starlight. and out east, the auto train. I've probably ridden more Amtrak trains with superliners than any other Amtrak service. I've only ridden a handful of trains with Amfleet cars, because before all the Horizon Fleet cars went down, that's what was running on most of the Midwestern trains, like the Illinois Zephyr and Carl Sandburg. I've ridden plenty of those with Horizon Fleet cars. So far, I've only ridden one with the new Venture cars. And I liked them. I mean, they're nice. I didn't ride in them long enough to really experience the alleged seating issues. I think the seats aren't very comfortable if you ride in them too long. But I didn't ride in it long enough to really discover if I had the same problem or not. But the Venture cars are nice. I may or may not venture out, pun intended, to Chicago this year for a filming expedition. We'll see. See if maybe I can slide up there sometime this summer or fall. And if I do, I will at least be going to Chicago on the Illinois Zephyr, which has those single-deck cars. So before we wrap things up for tonight, just a quick update on some of my future projects. I have not started working on the California Zephyr video, my big documentary of the train from Chicago to Emeryville yet. But I have all the footage, and I'm starting to organize some of the footage and get ready. So when I am ready, I will start working on that. That will be my next feature video, feature-length production on my channel. But I'm also kind of more excited about doing some of more of these live streams, as well as some maybe travel and vlogging videos from some of our travels that we do around the Midwest this year and in the future. And we'll see how those pan out and how well received they are going to be. But I'm looking forward to doing those. And they're going to be, you know, shorter, more vlog-like videos featuring myself, perhaps Mrs. Harvey as well, which I know a lot of you are looking forward to that when that happens. And also some shorter featured trains as well. I've gotten a few trains here or there with the phone past a few weeks that I might upload. And also my train layout in the new train/office room in the new house that my wife and I bought. And I'm starting to get it all situated and ready for building the layout. Once I get it all ready, get it looking presentable, I will probably start doing a series on the layout progress and starting to operate some O-gauge trains and more of those type of videos as well. Maybe post a video when Lionel comes out with a catalog, you know, stuff like that. So all those are down the pipeline. Then of course, I probably will not get the Zephyr video done before Old Threshers. So the next feature-length video may very well be Old Threshers. It's only just a little over 2 months away. It's hard to believe that we are almost there. We're not even at the first day of summer yet, and I'm already talking about Old Threshers. But it is coming. It'll be coming very quickly. And speaking of summer, the first day of summer, the next time we do a stream most likely will be in summer. Summer begins in just a few days. This Friday will be the first day of summer. The summer solstice, the longest day of daylight. Hard to believe we're almost there too. So most likely the Old Threshers video will be the next video that I do that will actually be uploaded to YouTube. So I'll be working on the Zephyr video, but my plan is, so I don't fall behind like I have been the past several years, my plan is, wherever I am in the Zephyr video, I'm going to stop working on it if Old Threshers comes up before I get it done. Work on the Old Threshers video, get it done and uploaded, and then I'll go back to working on the Zephyr video. That way, I never fall behind and I get the Old Threshers video out sooner after Old Threshers while it's still fresh on everybody's mind. And I feel like it gets a little better reception when I get it out shortly after the reunion. So most likely, I mean, we'll see, but most likely that'll be the next feature-length video that I put up. But there's, like I said, there's plenty more videos that are coming in the future that you'll probably see before then. And this is also the 20th anniversary of Bobby Harvey Video Productions. Hard to believe, too. Started making videos and DVDs when I was 13. Hard to believe, it's been 20 years since I started making my first videos. So, kind of in a celebration of that, I'm going to be kind of diversifying this year and getting some more different types of videos, kind of venturing away from trains somewhat, but sticking on the theme of travel and all the things all the events and things that you see while you're traveling, all the places you go and all that stuff, food to eat, etc., etc. It all ties into trains. But there is a lot more in the world than just trains. So, I mean, I want to showcase some of that as well on my channel. Of course, the name of my channel is Bobby Harvey Video Productions. It doesn't specify trains. So my video productions can be pretty much anything. Maybe gather a wider audience. I also plan on maybe doing some short videos here and there, some YouTube shorts. We'll see how that goes. A lot of things coming up this summer. Looking forward to it. So, I don't think there's much else going on tonight. We talked about the cows on the CPKC. Hopefully that doesn't turn into an issue. We talked about old threshers coming up. I'm going to look at the signals one more time, make sure we're not going to miss anything. Darkness. Both eastbound and westbound signals are dark, so we're not going to worry about missing anything. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just wrap things up for tonight. It's been a good day. As you can see, the sun has gone behind the clouds and kind of starting to set down in the sky. So we are going to go ahead and wrap things up for tonight. It's been a little over an hour. Pretty well-rounded stream. Got to see the one end of a CPKC freight and Amtrak with a lot of neat stuff on it tonight. We'll talk about some Amtrak trains and future video projects. So I think we've about covered it all for the night. So with that, hope all you dads out there had a good Father's Day, as I did as well. And we're gonna wrap things up tonight, and we will see you next week, most likely back on our usual Saturday night. Just stay tuned for updates on that. But in the meantime, we will see you all next time on YouTube and on live streams and everything else. So with that, this is Bobby Harvey in downtown Ottumwa. Thank you all for watching tonight, and hope you guys have a good night, and we'll see you next time. So long, everybody.